A revolution is not a bed of roses. A revolution is a struggle between the future and the past. The ever more sophisticated weapons piling up in the arsenals of the wealthiest and the mightiest can kill the illiterate, the ill, the poor and the hungry, but they cannot kill ignorance, illness, poverty or hunger. Quality of life lies in knowledge, in culture. Values are what constitute true quality of life, the supreme quality of life, even above food, shelter and clothing. I'm not attached to anything. I'm attached to what it feels it's my duty, to do my duty. I think that I will die with the boots on. Today, the entire country is an immense university. There is often talk of human rights, but it is also necessary to talk of the rights of humanity. Why should some people walk barefoot, so that others can travel in luxurious cars? Why should some live for 35 years, so that others can live for 70 years? Why should some be miserably poor, so that others can be hugely rich? I speak on behalf of the children in the world who do not have a piece of bread. I speak on the behalf of the sick who have no medicine, of those whose rights to life and human dignity have been denied. A revolution is a struggle to the death between the future and the past. Ignorance is the root of many ills. Knowledge must be the fundamental ally of nations that aspire, despite all their tragedies and problems, to become truly emancipated, to build a better world. Sorry, I'm still a dialectical materialist. I will not speak of him as if he were absent. He has not been and he will never be. These are not mere words of consolation. Only those of us who feel it truly and permanently in the depths of our souls can comprehend this. Physical life is ephemeral, it passes inexorably. This truth should be taught to every human being, that the immortal values of the spirit are above physical life. What sense does life have without these values? What then is it to live? Those who understand this and generously sacrifice their physical life for the sake of good and justice, how can they die? God is the supreme idea of goodness and justice. La historia me absolverà. If people call me Christian, not from the standpoint of religion but from the standpoint of social vision, I declare that I am a Christian. Humanity can learn from those who have broken their chains. Those who have chained humanity for centuries cannot teach humanity anything. Kebenaren tidak perlu klunken. We have the lowest student-teacher ratio and spend 5 times as much on schools than war, the opposite of what the United States does. Explaining why Cuba has the highest literacy in the world. The solutions put forth by imperialism are the quintessence of simplicity. When they speak of the problems of population and birth, they are in no way moved by concepts related to the interests of the family or of society. Just when science and technology are making incredible advances in all fields, they resort to technology to suppress revolutions and ask the help of science to prevent population growth. In short, the peoples are not to make revolutions, and women are not to give birth. This sums up the philosophy of imperialism. I know that imprisonment will be harder for me than it has ever been for anyone, filled with cowardly threats and hideous cruelty. But I do not fear prison, as I do not fear the fury of the miserable tyrant who took the lives of 70 of my comrades. Condemn me. It does not matter. History will absolve me. The fact is, when men carry the same ideals in their hearts, nothing can isolate them, neither prison walls nor the sod of cemeteries. For single memory, a single spirit, a single idea, a single conscience, a single dignity will sustain them all. Cuando los hombres llevan en la mente un mismo ideal, nada puede incomunicarlos, ni las paredes de una cárcel, ni la tierra de los cementerios. Porque un mismo recuerdo, una misma alma, una misma idea, una misma conciencia y dignidad los alienta a todos. A revolution is not a bed of roses. To the accusation that Cuba wants to export its revolution, we reply, revolutions are not exported, they are made by the people. Today you cannot talk about a United Nations system. What actually exists is a domination system over nearly all countries in the world by a small group of powers under the aegis of the United States, determining all issues. Inspired my own life. Victory has thousands father but failure always find itself an orphan. Fidel Castro. From Marx, I received the concept of what human society is, otherwise, someone who hasn't read about it, or to whom it hasn't been explained, it's as though they were set down in the middle of a forest, at night, without knowing which way north is, or south, east or west. Marx told us what a society is and the history of its evolution. Without Marx, you can't formulate any argument that leads to a reasonable interpretation of historical events, what the tendencies are, the probable evolution of a humanity that has not yet completed its social evolution. Pesar del incesante hostigamiento exterior, este pequeño país, ha pegado a su soberanía, ha obtenido resultados muy notables en materia de desarrollo humano, abolición del racismo, emancipación de la mujer, erradicación del analfabetismo, reducción drástica de la mortalidad infantil, 15 elevación del nivel cultural general. En cuestiones de educación, de salud, de investigación médica y de deporte, Cuba ha alcanzado niveles que muchos países desarrollados envidiarían. 16. I began revolution with 82 men. If I had to do it again, I do it with 10 or 15 and absolute faith. It does not matter how small you are if you have faith and plan of action. I view Che, furthermore, as a moral giant who grows day by day, whose image, whose strength, whose influence has multiplied throughout the world. How could he fit below a tombstone? How could he fit in this plaza? How could he fit solely in our beloved but small island? Only the world he dreamed of, which he lived and fought for, is big enough for him. Yo sé que la paz solo es posible si se tiene conciencia de la dignidad del ser humano. Yo sé que cada persona debe ser respetada por sí misma. Yo sé que la paz empieza con el derecho a la vida y que se le da su dimensión tanto a los derechos civiles y políticos como a los económicos, sociales y culturales. The United States is preparing a bloody drama for Latin America. La democracia, además, solo existirá en América cuando los pueblos son realmente libres para escoger, cuando los humildes no estén reducidos por el hambre, la desigualdad social, el analfabetismo y los sistemas jurídicos. The historical lesson is that a revolutionary party can carry out tactical movements, but it mustn't commit strategic errors. U.S. imperialism's avowed policy of sending soldiers to fight the revolutionary movement in any Latin American country, to kill workers, students, peasants, to kill Latin American men and women, has no other purpose than to maintain its monopolistic interests and the privileges of the treacherous oligarchies which support the monopolies. In South America, a governing Creole elite, ruling in most cases with U.S. political and military support, held the continent with relative ease. Rebellions, such as that led by Sandino in Nicaragua, were isolated and crushed. Physical and cultural repression of the indigenous population, with the exception of Mexico, was regarded as normal. Populist experiments, Argentina and Brazil, did not last too long. Few thought of Cuba as the likely venue for the first anti-capitalist revolution. Introduction by Tariq Ali. When men carry the same ideals in their hearts, nothing can keep them isolated, neither walls of prisons nor the sod of cemeteries. For a single memory, a single spirit, a single idea,